When it comes to SUVs, no other manufacturer offers a lineup quite as extensive as Toyota. However, if you were shopping for a three-row SUV, there was always a big gaping hole between the just too small Toyota Highlander and the just too big Toyota Sequoia, which is why I'm standing by a very important addition for 2024. This right here is the Toyota Grand Highlander, and just like its name suggests, this vehicle is about 6.5 inches longer than a Highlander, but about 5 inches shorter than the current generation Toyota Sequoia. Now, I've already had a chance to drive this vehicle out in Hawaii about 3 months ago. However, this week, Toyota has sent me over the fully loaded Highlander, Grand Highlander Hybrid Max in the Platinum trim. We're gonna live with the Grand Highlander. We're gonna put it through our usual battery of tests. And at the end of this video, we're gonna find out, has Toyota successfully created a three-row SUV that'll appeal to American families? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before I start talking about the exterior styling differences between the Grand Highlander and the Highlander, I thought I'd pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, its powertrain configurations are pretty similar to the smaller Highlander. However, Toyota offers one additional powertrain, and it's exclusive to the Grand Highlander, known as the Hybrid Max. Now, if you guys have seen my latest review on the Toyota Crown and a Lexus RX 500h, you're gonna find this powertrain to be familiar because this powertrain combines the 2.4-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection 4-cylinder. Remember, that engine replaces the V6 with 2 electric motors. There's a front electric motor that's sandwiched between the engine and the 6-speed automatic transmission, and then there's also a separate rear electric motor giving this vehicle all-wheel drive. The electric motors offer more power versus the electric motor in the mid-level hybrid trim, and Toyota says the gas engine on its own delivers around 265 horsepower, 332 pound-feet of torque. When you add the output of the 2 electric motors, which are powered by a 1.44 lithium-ion battery, or I'm sorry, nickel metal hydride battery pack, you get a maximum of 362 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque. Those are near class-leading figures. The only thing that's more powerful is the Ford Explorer ST and the Dodge Durango SRT, which none of those vehicles will match the efficiency of this car, which is rated at 26 in the city, 27 on the highway, 27 combined. It has a 17.2-gallon gas tank. It's designed to run on regular gas, and you'll be looking at around 400 to 450 miles of range, depending on how efficiently you're gonna drive this vehicle. Toyota doesn't claim a 0 to 60 performance, but we've got our testing equipment here. We'll test it out and we'll see what we can get in the real world. This vehicle has a top speed of around 117 miles an hour, and the beauty about the Hybrid Max powertrain is this model will now tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds, which is a healthy increase over the 3,500 pounds in the Highlander hybrid, and this vehicle, as it sits, weighs in at just over 4,900 pounds. Surprisingly, this vehicle is only about 100 pounds heavier than the Lexus RX 500h and about 100 pounds heavier than the regular Highlander. Considering how big this car is, Toyota did a good job of managing the weight. But closing the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling. Now, this model that I'm showing you here is painted in a new shade of white called Coastal Cream. It's slightly more of a, again, kind of like a beige color that's mixed in with the white. It looks good in this platinum grade. Now, the Hybrid Max is exclusive to the platinum grade only. You can't get the regular hybrid in this platinum trim. You can get a gas-only version in platinum, which will have slightly different styling cues. You can see the Grand Highlander has a slightly different look to the regular Highlander. Now, all of them are going to come standard with full LED headlights. You have an LED low and high beam, LED daytime running light, LED turn signal, and then this trim also includes LED fog lights. I like the fact that Toyota still offers fog lights. There's this kind of chrome strip that goes along the front fascia, along with this massive grille. I think this car definitely looks better than the regular Highlander, but it also has a slightly more vanilla look than some other SUVs in the segment, specifically models like the Kia Telluride and the Hyundai Palisade. I'm hoping Toyota will offer an XSE trim or a black appearance package to kind of black out the chrome. It's just not my favorite in terms of styling. Now, moving around the side profile, you can see this vehicle hides its exterior size very well. However, at an overall length at 201.4 inches long, like I said earlier, this is up 6.5 inches compared to a regular Highlander, but it's still around 5 inches shorter than the Sequoia. Compared to something like the Ford Explorer, this is around 3 inches longer than that vehicle. Same thing like the Kia Telluride and Hyundai Palisade. Only the Chevrolet Traverse is bigger by 2 inches compared to the Grand Highlander. Its wheelbase is also 116 inches long, about 4 inches longer than the regular Highlander. Its width is around 78.3. It's around 2.5 inches wider than the regular Highlander. Now looking at the wheels, 18 or 20-inch wheels are going to be included. This is a 20-inch wheel that's machined and black two-tone. This is technically the wheel off of the limited trim. Toyota says this early pre-production model had parts constraints, which is why it doesn't have the correct wheel on it. It's riding on a 255 by 55 R 20-inch tire. You have an all-independent suspension, obviously, and then Toyota says you get around 8 inches of ground clearance. The brakes are 13.4 inches in terms of size, and they're four-wheel disc all around. So good stopping power, good wheel size. I think it matches the exterior presence of this vehicle well, and it also surprisingly has that 8 inches of ground clearance, which is nice. Now the mirrors are electrically folding. They're body colored. They have an integrated turn signal, 4 cameras around the vehicle. And then you can see an aerodynamic roof rail with a panoramic glass roof. That's standard on the Platinum trim, optional on the limited trim. And then you can see there's a chrome around the belt line. And then you can really see the blocky rectangular shape of this car, which is all for space efficiency. It basically just looks like a big version of the Toyota RAV4, which is not a bad place to start. I think this car actually looks better than the Lexus TX, the luxury equivalent, although I haven't seen that car in person. I'll be driving it in October, so stay tuned for my full review on that. Now you can see looking at the rear, full LED taillights, which have an LED turn signal, reverse light, brake light. There's a Grand Highlander badge back here, along with more badging for Hybrid Max, the new Beyond Zero badges over there, along with the Platinum trim. The Grand Highlander Hybrid Max is the only trim that also comes with a dual chrome exhaust outlet, which I love. I think it makes the rear look sporty. It makes it well finished. You can see also a tow hitch is included. This vehicle will tow a maximum of 5,000 pounds, like I said. And then in terms of the cargo capacity, this is where the Grand Highlander really fixes the issues of the regular Highlander, because what you're looking at here is just under 21 cubic feet of storage space. Toyota actually says you can fit 7 carry-on suitcases, 21-inch suitcases, behind the third row. So that's a pretty significant amount. You can see underneath the floor here, there's a little bit of storage, although I'm surprised it's not a little bit deeper. There's a spare underneath the vehicle along with the tools and whatnot. You can see folding down the third row, you can see once you fold this down, it expands the cargo capacity to just under 58 cubic feet of space. And then if you fold down the second row, Toyota says you get a maximum of just under 98 cubic feet of space. That's actually more cargo space than what you're gonna find in the Toyota Sequoia, significantly more than what you're gonna find in the Highlander. And this has roughly the same cargo capacity as a Chevrolet Traverse, which is among the biggest in the segment. This has more space versus a Kia Telluride, Palisade, Ford Explorer, and even a Dodge Durango. So let's go ahead and move on to the interior of the new Grand Highlander, which is arguably the more important aspect of this vehicle. Before we get inside, however, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is the current generation Toyota fob. It says Grand Highlander on the back. It even has a nice little bronze accent on the key. This is their latest intelligent access key with lock, unlock, power liftgate, panic function. It also offers a digital key function where you can use your phone as a key. And this car also offers remote start. If you touch the lock button 3 times in sequence and then push and hold it on the third, the engine will remote start for you. If you have access to the Toyota Connected Services app, you can also remote start the vehicle from your phone as well. Now, approaching the vehicle, you can see it has a traditional door handle. If you touch this, that locks the door for you. That will also fold in the mirrors if you have it set that way. This vehicle does not offer an auto walk-away lock or unlock feature. I kind of wish Toyota would get with the program and offer that. That's something you can find on competing vehicles like, for example, the new Honda Pilot. Now, opening up the door, you can see my tester's coastal cream exterior is accented by this Portobello upgraded leather interior with the ultra suede and the Softex combination with contrasting stitching. This brown interior color is only exclusive to the Platinum grade. If you guys look at a Limited or an XLE, you can't get this brown. It's only on this Platinum grade. It certainly makes a great first impression. You can see the door panels. This model here, being an early pre-production car, certainly has some decent materials. Soft touch injection molded plastic here. This kind of textured plastic, which tries to make it look like a dark aluminum trim. Padded area right here where you'd rest your elbow. Windows are one touch for all 4 with nice high quality buttons. Down here it is hard touch plastic with some storage, and then my tester also has the 11 speaker JBL sound system, which is decent. It's not the best sounding audio in the segment, but it certainly will get the job done. Now these ultra suede Softex seats are comfortable and supportive. They are wide, so accommodating all different types of body types. You can see you have a 10-way power on the driver's side, an 8-way power on the passenger side, and you also get 2-person memory. These seats are heated and ventilated. The heated and ventilated part is included when you go for the Limited and up trims. The XLE, I believe, will just have a heated seat. Now, getting inside with 8 inches of ground clearance, the step-in is nice and easy, and then once you're in, you can see it has a nice commanding view of the road. As I get in and shut the door, The door surprisingly doesn't sound very solid. It sounds a little tinny and hollow. Now I'm going to chalk it up to it being an early pre-production car. There are certainly some gaps, panel gaps, and some cheaper materials that I'm feeling in here. So I'm hoping to get my hands on a actual full production car by the end of the year. Push that button here. You can see it turns everything on because it's a hybrid. It doesn't have a traditional starter noise. It just kind of whirs to life. The engine turned on, but sometimes it won't. It is hot outside right now, so it's trying to turn on the climate and trying to cool the cabin down. But looking at the interior, you can see, if you guys have been inside some latest Toyota products, it looks pretty familiar in here. You have the centerpiece, which is the 12.3-inch touchscreen LCD display. It has their Toyota Connected Services software, their latest software with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and over-the-air updates. This is a pretty fine system. I like the way it works. It works quickly, it works well. And then if you guys go for a limited trim and up, it'll include a fully digital instrument panel as well, 12.3 inches. The CarPlay also loaded up relatively quickly, and there's the way the CarPlay looks. It looks good, actually. It takes up a good chunk of the screen, although there is still a pretty big black border. There is an actual volume knob here, but everything else is kind of buried in the screen in terms of adjusting things. There's no dedicated home button here, but you can see there's your GPS, there's your music. Everything is just kind of to the left side of the screen, and if you want to access settings and whatnot, it's here. So it's pretty easy to use, it's quick and snappy, and it works well. Now, my tester is a Platinum, which also includes a heads-up display. This is the only trim to include a heads-up display. You can't get that on the limited grade. Over here, it is a hard-touch plastic material, but down here, you can see it's soft-touch injection molded plastic with some faux stitching, a nice little storage shelf here with more of that interesting textured plastic trim. Bronze accents are included with the Platinum grade. You can see it's also included onto the center console. The steering wheel also gets some bronze accents. This has the Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. That's what the sensor that, or the camera that monitors your face in case you're paying attention. Shift paddles are included with this Hybrid Max because it has a 6-speed auto. The steering wheel itself offers manual tilt telescoping adjustments with a good amount of adjustability and range. The horn sounds good. It doesn't sound puny like some other Toyota models, and you can see you've got your buttons to control the way that looks. That is a slightly adjustable, customizable instrument panel along with your adaptive cruise control functions. It's not a flat bottom wheel, but there is some nice details with the color combinations and whatnot. Now, down over here, you can see you have a wireless phone charging pad. If I look over here, you can see this is the shifter for the 6-speed auto. If I kick it over here and then push it up, that puts it in reverse. That gives you the full 360 camera, which is optional on the limited, standard on the Platinum grade. You can see it offers a full top-down view with parking sensors front and rear. The resolution is also good. And it also offers like a 360 perimeter scan, although that doesn't look all that great. Over here, I forgot to mention, there's a heated steering wheel control, automatic high beams, your AC 120 power outlet, and then your power liftgate function. You can also adjust the instrument panel dimming from over here. Tri-zone automatic climate control, which you can see heated and cooled seat is included right here. It's an actual hard button, which I appreciate. This is all very tactile and easy to use. I like the big knobs also. It's really easy to adjust that. Your view button is right here. You can see there's your full 360 perimeter scan, which is kind of a useless view. I much prefer what the Europeans are doing over this. This just seems kind of like a gimmick. You have a total of 7 USB-C charging ports in here, which is good. Cup holders, electronic parking brake, and then your drive mode selector is here. You can see there's an eco, normal, and a sport mode. When you start cycling the drive modes, it shows you a little bit of a graphic for your different drive modes. And if you twist this, you can go into like a rock and dirt or a mud and sand mode, which will also turn off the stability control and whatnot. So that's all pretty good. Again, that's included when you guys go for the fully digital display. This is all very easy to operate. You can see padded center console area. Slide this open, it reveals a really big storage compartment. You can see all my camera equipment actually fit in here. It's very deep. Which is great. Although this doesn't open up in the traditional way, it just kind of slides open right here. So the opening of this is kind of small, but it's nice because you don't have to ask the passenger to move their elbow if you need to access this. There's a little bit of a storage compartment over here, or storage cubby, another storage cubby here, which is nice. I mentioned earlier the seats are comfortable and supportive. There is some ambient lighting in this cabin, which it's nothing super special. It's not available to change in multiple colors, but it's nice that Toyota is including ambient lighting if you go for the limited trims and up. The glove compartment you can see is damped but not lined with felt. It's a bin style, which is nice. The Platinum grade is the only trim to include the digital camera, rear view mirror, which gives you much better visibility out of the back. You have LED map lighting, and then you can see here, open this up, there is a panoramic roof that's standard on the Platinum, optional on the limited trim. It goes all the way into the second row, and this also opens up. So if you want to tilt this, this allows you to basically tilt this up, or you can open it up completely only over the 2 second row or front row seats. But you can see here, That's the biggest that it opens up. It's nice that Toyota gives you that feature to kind of vent it. Some competitors don't give you the ability to vent that. But overall, you can see the interior offers plenty of space, plenty of tech, plenty of storage solutions, and the seats are comfortable. So if you guys are looking for, again, a family-friendly aspect, something good for long road trips, the Grand Highlander is certainly going to suffice. Now moving into the second and the third row, remember this is a family car, so let's go ahead and talk about all the extra space that Toyota is including with the Grand Highlander version. Now you can see the rear door panel material is a hard touch injection molded plastic upper here. This area feels a little bit more padded, but it could be softer. You can see down here it's nice and padded. Great storage cubbies right here for people in the second row, a nice little bottle holder over there as well. You also get these manual retractable sunshades on the higher trims and up, and then you can see my tester has the captain's chairs. Now if you guys want a bench seat, you can get a bench seat, but not on the platinum trims. You'll have to step down to a limited trim, which the limited still includes a lot of niceties. However, the platinum is the only trim that you're gonna want if you want the heated and cooled second row seats. You can't get that feature on the limited. It's only, I believe, a heated second row seat, but this captain's chairs does reduce the seating capacity to 7. And when you get back here, Toyota says there's around 39.5 inches of legroom. Now, let me get back here and shut the door. You can hear, or you can see 39.5 is certainly a good amount. The seat does slide forward and back to give third row passengers more space. This is with the seat all the way back. I can certainly get back here and cross my legs and get comfortable for somebody that's 5'7", good foot space. And then the center passenger, the area here in the middle is almost completely flat. However, you should note that vehicles like the Telluride and Palisade offer around 41 inches of legroom, so it's not the most in the second row. However, you do have storage cubbies in the front seat backs. You have heated and cooled second row seats, which I mentioned earlier is included on the Platinum. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, an actual 12-volt power outlet over here, your own set of climate control functions, and then there's a center console here with some storage and cup holders. This also will lift out if you guys want to remove this so you can have better access into the third row, which is nice. These second row captain's chairs are certainly a good option, but remember, if you guys want the bench seat for seating for up to 8, you have to step down to the limited grade, which means you have to give up the second row heated and cooled seats, which seems like a fair compromise. But let's go ahead and hop into the third row, because that is the big question with this Grand Highlander, because the regular Highlander offers only 28 inches of legroom in the third row. This model, however, offers 33.5 inches, which makes it around the best in the segment in terms of space. Now, let me go ahead and get back here and shut that door, and then let me scoot this seat all the way back where I have it basically in its rearmost position. Now you can see for somebody my height, 5'7", I have a ton of space back here, so you can see my knees aren't even touching the seat back here. There is some good foot space underneath here, and in terms of the headroom space, you can see when I lean completely back, my head doesn't graze the ceiling. When I'm sitting upright, I still have a couple inches, so you can fit an actual 6-foot person back here, which is what Toyota really stressed. In terms of creature comforts, there are cup holders back here. There's a area where it should be padded, however it's not. You have a USB-C charging port, you have rear seat air vents in the second and in the third row, which is nice. I scoot my butt over here into the middle seat. You can see because of that additional 2.5-inch width increase, you can fit an actual middle passenger back here. The space for somebody of my size, you can see there is still room for 2 more people to sit back here. It'll be a little bit tight. Your shoulders will be squeezing, but it's nice. You can see on the other side, you also have a USB-C charging port, the same storage area, rear seat air vents. But again, if you guys want an 8-passenger version, you have to step down to the limited grade. But Toyota really nailed it, because this is, again, a third row that offers way more space versus the Sequoia and the regular Highlander, and it finally has the same amount of space as what you're going to find in like the Palisade, the Telluride, the Honda Pilot. So again, this is the SUV you're going to want from Toyota if you actually need to carry some full-size adults back here. So here we are back in the ultimate family-friendly SUV from Toyota. It's been about 3 months since I drove this vehicle out in Hawaii. So when Toyota sent me over the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max for a full week, I was very excited, because as you guys know, this is a very important vehicle for Toyota. They've been sorely lacking in an actual family-friendly 3-row SUV here in America, because the Sequoia, as you guys know, is too expensive, too big for some, and also it doesn't really have a great third row. So now that we have this Hybrid Max Platinum, this is technically the third version of this powertrain that I am sampling. First, I tried it in the Lexus RX 500h, and then the Toyota Crown. This has a power figure that is in between those two models, and this car also weighs the most at 4,900 pounds. but it's only around 200 pounds heavier than a Lexus RX 500h, which is interesting. But let's go ahead and put it into its sport mode here. Let's go ahead and see what we can get 0 to 60 wise. This car, remember has 362 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque, which is a pretty healthy amount. We'll go ahead and turn off the traction control, and then we'll just floor it here. It's actually spinning its front tires a little bit, because remember, the rear axle is powered solely by the electric motor. 5.98 seconds there. That's actually a smidge quicker than when I tested this vehicle out in Hawaii, where I got a little over 6 seconds. So it's pretty consistent. The great thing about this powertrain is the response of it. It has, you know, that electric motor. It has 2 electric motors that kind of fill in the gaps when you're waiting for the turbo to spool up on this 2.4 liter engine. Remember, the 2.4 turbo is replacing the V6, and I know some of you are very upset about the fact that it doesn't have a V6 anymore. However, as you guys, you know, sample this powertrain, keep an open mind, because it has so much mid-range punch, and that's essentially what you're looking for in this kind of application. You don't want to have to rev out an engine constantly to get the best acceleration. But let's go ahead and try it over here and see what we can get on this slightly more uphill run. I want to see if I can get a consistent number, although it will be a little slower here. This time I'm not going to brake torque it. The engine also has a very burly V6-like sound to it, 6.15 there. So 6.15, slightly slower, and we're going uphill there. So again, this powertrain offers plenty of punch, plenty of performance, and it also is quicker than the last Mazda CX-90 with the 3.3 liter turbo inline 6. It's also mild hybrid. It's a mild hybrid. This is a full hybrid, which offers a 1.44 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's not a plug-in hybrid. Obviously, you can't plug this in, but it does give you the ability to drive on electric power alone at very low speeds, although compared to like the hybrid system in the 2.5 liter with the 3 electric motors, this does not give you the ability to drive on full electric power alone up to higher speeds, whereas the middle hybrid powertrain in this car should give you more electric only driving capability, thanks to, again, a 3rd electric motor and just a stronger electric motor. This, because of the nature of the front electric motor, where it's sandwiched in between the 6-speed auto and the gas engine, it kind of functions a little bit like the hybrid powertrain in the Sequoia and the Tundra, which means it's not going to be as efficient as that hybrid powertrain, but we'll talk about the efficiency later on. Now, I have it in sport mode now. This car is definitely not sporty to drive. It just basically sharpens the throttle response, makes the steering a little bit heavier, but you feel the Grand Highlander hybrid's size and weight. Now, this vehicle is not cumbersome or terrible to drive. It has a nice, soft, controlled ride quality, although the 20s will transmit a little bit more bumps into the cabin as opposed to the 18s. It's still a very good ride quality. The suspension just feels soft and wallowy, which again is the mission of a vehicle like this. You're not looking for excellent handling. Put my foot down here. It primarily feels more front-wheel drive, but you can feel the rear electric motor try to add its torque. It offers roughly double the horsepower of the electric motor that's in the regular Highlander, Grand Highlander hybrid. And the 6-speed auto has really smooth shifts. It's lacking 2 more gears versus the gas-only version, but Toyota fills in those gaps with the electric motor aspect, and that's why they're saying that a 6-speed should suffice. Now I'm going to try it one more time here and see if we can get another consistent sub-6-second run. Not brake torquing it this time, but again, so much torque and a nice sound, really excellent pull. 5.91 there, so that's my quickest time, and I'll take it. That's only 0.2 seconds slower than the Lexus RX 500h F-Sport Performance, and about a half a second slower than the Toyota Crown, which is the lightest version of this car that I've driven with this, or lightest version of this powertrain that I've driven so far. So again, this will offer plenty of performance, plenty of passing power, especially if you guys regularly carry 6, 7 people or all their stuff. If you're planning to tow, this also tows 5,000 pounds, which is a sizable increase over the 3,500 pounds in the regular Highlander hybrid. So again, if you want to go electrified and you want to be able to tow 5,000, this is the Toyota SUV you're going to be looking for. And it's a great powertrain. I think this is probably one of my favorite powertrains in the segment for sure. But let's go ahead and switch the drive mode here to just normal. This is how most people are going to drive the car. It's not What I noticed in normal mode is it doesn't have as much engine sound because Toyota is kind of synthesizing the engine noise in sport mode through the speakers to give it more of a V6-like sound. This is the mode where you're gonna feel it drive in electric only more, which is good because you want that ability to drive in EV only mode. I'll actually switch it to eco mode here. Visibility in this car is also really good. I can see out of the fronts, the sides really well. I like the boxy shape of the Grand Highlander. Then this trim here is the only trim to give you the digital camera rearview mirror. Without it, you can still see out of the back pretty well, but the rear head restraints do get in the way. And if you pile stuff up to the roof or you have tall friends in the back seat, this is a really great feature. It's only available on the Platinum grade. This car also comes with Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. So it has their full suite of driver assistance tech, which it works really well. This is pretty much on par with the best from all the other mainstream companies. This vehicle also has the ability to basically brake the car automatically, even when the adaptive cruise control isn't on. If it sees a car in front of you, for example, at a traffic light, it'll start to brake for you. And it also has front cross traffic alert for idiots like that who literally just cross in front of you and you have to hit your brakes a little bit. But overall, I think it's a really nice driving vehicle that feels slightly bigger than the regular Highlander. What you're noticing, well, what I noticed the most is the width. This car is 2.5 inches wider and it definitely takes up a bigger footprint on the road. And that's probably what you have to get used to the most. You don't really feel the extra 6.5 inches in overall length. I mean, you will when you're parking this thing, but this car has a full suite of parking aids with cameras and sensors and whatnot. But let's briefly talk about the fuel economy because this is the hybrid model. It's the Hybrid Max model. Now, this does get about 3 to 4 mpg better than the gas-only version. However, keep in mind the regular hybrid powertrain, the middle powertrain will get about 7 mpg better. Now, I haven't had a chance to really test out that powertrain. I'm hoping Toyota will send me that toward the end of the year when they refresh their fleet and they get a production version. This one that I'm driving is still a pre-production car, but in my week's worth of testing, I averaged about 24 miles to the gallon. 24 isn't great. It's around 2 to 3 miles per gallon less than what I got in the Lexus RX 500h because this car is just not as aerodynamic. It's a little bit heavier. It's a block basically. With that, gas mileage, you're going to look at around a 400-mile range, about 375 to 400 miles of range because it has a 17-gallon gas tank. That is, good, but it's not excellent. Remember, the regular hybrid is going to be the one that'll get you around 500 miles of range, and that's probably why I believe that's going to be the sweet spot within the segment. I think people are going to really appreciate that extra efficiency and they're willing to give up the power. Now, again, I haven't tested out the regular hybrid in terms of 0 to 60, but that powertrain is capable of around 7.5 seconds on most vehicles. But in this car, it's going to be slightly heavier, so maybe closer to 8. We'll see when I get one to test for a full week. But overall, you will also have to give up towing capacity with that model. But really, in reality, if you're looking for the ultimate Grand Highlander, the Hybrid Max powertrain is a worthy replacement for the V6. It gives you all that torque. This is now the second most powerful entry in the segment. And I think for those of you who are okay with giving up a little bit of efficiency, but you want that extra acceleration, you want the towing capability, you want that power when you're carrying people and stuff, and you can do it in this car finally. It has room for up to 8 people, 7 on this model here. I think this one is definitely one that deserves to make it to the very top of your list if you're shopping for a large 3-row family SUV. So after spending a full week with the fully loaded version of the Grand Highlander Hybrid Max Platinum grade, I must admit, guys, this is now currently my favorite entry in the 3-row large family SUV segment. It's because Toyota has combined something that you simply can't get in the competitors. That's a hybrid efficient powertrain with all of that space in the second, third row, and in the trunk space. Now, this model here obviously is the fully loaded Platinum grade. It's going to include all the bells and whistles, which I love. The heated and cooled second and third row seats, the panoramic sunroof, the 360 camera, the digital camera review mirror. It is a pricey proposition at just under $60,000. But as you guys saw, in terms of living with this car, it really does offer up a ton of practicality. The second and the third row is finally adult friendly. The front seat area offers tons of space, tons of storage, and great tech. The 12.3-inch infotainment system, which is standard, works well. The JBL sound system is perfectly average. For those of you who are more audiophiles, you may find the competing systems and competitors to be slightly better. And in terms of the driving dynamics, the handling of this car is more on the comfort end. So if you're looking for sportier, be sure to check out your local Mazda dealer for the CX-90. However, if you're looking for acceleration quickness, this definitely offers it. 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds makes this one of the quickest accelerating vehicles in the segment, all while achieving, again, up to 27 mpg. That's not what I got personally in my testing, but when I get an actual full production car, we're gonna retest it. We're gonna see if we can actually get a slightly better, closer EPA number, which is again rated at 27 mpg. Now, if you guys are looking to purchase the Grand Highlander, this is now rolling into dealer showrooms now, slowly. Toyota says that they're targeting at around 120,000 units next year in terms of production. They're gonna try to scale it up as much as they can. Remember, the regular Highlander sells nearly 250,000 units every year. So I suspect this model is going to easily be able to achieve that number as well. If Toyota can manage to sell both the Grand Highlander and the Highlander, you could be looking at a combined sales figure of almost 500,000 units when it's all said and done, if Toyota can get production up. The hybrid version is definitely going to be the one to get. I haven't had a chance to fully test out the regular mid-trim hybrid, but I suspect that's the model you're gonna want, because at a base price of around $43,000 for a Grand Highlander gas front-wheel drive base XLE trim, this model does look considerably more expensive, like $8,000 more expensive than the regular Highlander. However, Toyota does not offer the L or LE trim, the base trim on the Grand Highlander. So you have to look at a Highlander XLE, which the price difference is only about $1,000, which is kind of a steal. Now, keep in mind, if you guys go on to the higher end of this trim spectrum, this car can be about $3,000 to $5,000 more expensive than a Highlander, a regular Highlander. Now, I think the sweet spot for this model is probably going to be a limited hybrid, the mid-trim, or the middle powertrain for around $51,000. This model here at around $59,500 certainly is a lot of money. However, it's about the same price as a fully loaded version of the Ford Explorer, the Mazda CX-90, even the Hyundai Palisade and Kia Telluride are around $54,000, $55,000. This is more expensive, but with the additional power and efficiency and the fact that this will now tow and it has more space in the third row and the cargo area than the Hyundai and the Kia Twins, I'm happy to report that if you can get past the mundane vanilla styling and the not so sporty driving dynamics, which I imagine most of you don't really care about in this segment, it drives perfectly fine and it's comfortable. This is definitely a vehicle that deserves to be at the very top of your list. But with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2024 Toyota Grand Highlander. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.